All right, guys, what is going on? Wanted to create this quick video for a couple of reasons. Number one, I created a post on Instagram about 5 days ago now, talking about onboarding sequences and what it can look like inside your online coaching companies. And I had probably about 15 or 18 coaches reach out to me after that saying it was so helpful in that they had no real onboarding systems or no real onboarding SOPs, and they just kind of get clients, and then after the sales call you just get them inside of your system, and that's pretty much it, right? Like you just start with your coaching and do your check-ins and go from there, and there's no real intake, right? There's no real process to properly onboard them, educate them on what it looks like to actually be a client, to actually work with you. What are the processes? What are the systems involved? Teaching them how to use the systems, educating them on what check-ins actually look like. And I want to go through what this process is and how it can help you today. And there's probably going to be a couple golden nuggets inside of this video that I want you guys to apply right away when it comes to your onboarding, just to level up that process and just increase the premium feeling that your ideal type of client, or client I should say, would feel when they actually come on board. And then it's like a white glove service, getting them indoctrinated into your process and understanding what the next steps are going to be. So how I'm going to create this video is, who is it for? So number one, this onboarding process, I'm assuming it's for your one-on-one coaching offer, okay? A one-on-one coaching offer is high touch. Normally you have weekly check-ins, you have monthly one-on-one calls and community access, and maybe some training modules as well that they can go through on their own time. And I'm going to outline all of that stuff inside of this video today. It can work for your group coaching offer. It could work for your membership offer. You probably might want to just go through this and remove a lot of the stuff because it is rather robust. And if you have a lower value offer where they just don't have as many touch points from you, then you just don't need as much data from them, right, in order to create their programming. So take this whole video with a grain of salt is essentially what I'm saying. Treat it like a buffet. Take what you think would help you and leave the rest, come back for it later, right? That's how I want you to treat this video. So what I'm going to show you today in all of these systems is an example from a one-on-one coaching client that I've been working with for the last couple of months. He charges $650 per month. It's a 6-month commitment. And I'm going to take you through everything we worked on over the last couple of months in terms of building out his onboarding and, more importantly, his systems, right? This is what it's all about. It's not just creating a good feeling inside of your ideal types of clients' minds when they sign on with you. It's also creating systems so that you don't have to do as much work, right? You want to make sure that these are tried and true processes over time, where you're getting the information that you need from the client, and then you have systems that can be inputted into your coaching so you're efficient inside of what you do. That's what we want to build here. So a couple of things that I want to talk about as it pertains to this client example that I'm sharing with you guys. First thing is that he does his weekly check-ins and he does his weekly coaching on an app called Coach RX. This is a question I get all the time. Don't get me wrong, sure, I do think some apps are better than others, but I don't think it's going to make or break your coaching business. This is, like I said, it's probably one of the main questions that I get from health and fitness coaches, and I think you mentally masturbate about it a lot instead of just focusing on one app and going all in on it and then building out your coaching business. Pick one, go all in on it. If you want to reassess after 6 months or a year, you can, but pick one. That's my advice for you in this video. He uses Coach RX. So this is from OPEX. It's a really good one. I've used it before myself. Other good ones are True Coach, Trainerize is okay. Everfit is good. Kahuna's is good. What's the other one? Coach Catalyst is good. There's many different ones you guys can look into. But he's using Coach RX just for this. So in terms of the data that he collects every week for his weekly check-ins, his weekly Loom check-ins, are the workout numbers based on Coach RX. So he'll look at, obviously, the adherence throughout the week. He'll look at the strength increases or plateaus. He'll look at the times for certain workouts that he's programming for his clients. He'll look at the aerobic work that they completed, what those times were. He'll look at the recovery scores as well. He tracks sleep, he tracks HRV. He'll look at the stress levels as well. This is more for his client to manually track on a scale of 1 to 10. And then he's got lifestyle habits as well, just understanding the compliance of this. And he programs it all through through CoachRx. And he programs daily walks, sunlight. He has a nutrition protocol. That's pretty simple. Planning the next day before his client goes to bed, spending time with wife and kids, no tech, things like that. Just little stuff that you guys probably have inside of your programming as well. So what he'll do is, after he gets all of this every single week, is he'll look at it, he'll record a loom just like I'm doing in this video. He'll record a loom having all of this up on his computer, and he'll just talk it through, but he'll do it in 4 different ways that I'm gonna teach you here in a second. So he'll get up all this information, he'll look at it really quickly, and then he'll just click record. And it only takes 10 minutes, okay? This is a 10-minute check-in every single week. If you wanna have monthly one-on-one calls with your client, you could do that too. But quite honestly, these check-ins are the most effective and the most premium service that they can get with your coaching. So what he's gonna do is, number one, on this 10-minute Loom video, he's gonna review the past week's data, make sure that there's no red flags as it comes to adherence, and just kind of see where everything is at. Then he's going to coach the client on this video for a couple minutes with just some tweaks and adjustments that he might want them to focus on based off of the data he's looking at for this week that they completed. Then he's going to outline what the upcoming week is going to look like that he already has programmed, or some tweaks and adjustments that he made. And then he's going to, and this is very important, this is something I think most coaches miss, then he's going to remind the client of the short-term goals that the client has and the long-term goals that the client has as well, and how this programming block or this week or this overall phase, how it fits into the bigger picture so that the client understands. Because long-term, this increases adherence, right? I think a lot of clients, and you guys can agree with me or disagree with me here, but I think a lot of clients can kind of get caught in the day-to-day sometimes. And they're just going through their workouts. They're just clicking complete on their apps, and then they kind of get bored with it sometimes after a while. Whereas A, your programming needs to account for that, but then also B, you as the coach, you want to continually remind your client of what the goals are, the short-term goals, the long-term goals, giving them even mini goals throughout those different cycles to keep them consistent, keep them motivated, keep them adherent over time. So in this check-in process, that's a very good way to effectively do that. So take this if you want, leave it if it's too much for you or if it doesn't speak to you based off your coaching style. But like I said, I'm just showing what I'm doing with one of my clients. So that is kind of one of the main intros here when it comes to the coaching. Now, in terms of the onboarding SOP, this is what I shared on Instagram that I think you guys could apply some of these as well. So I'm actually going to take you through this in terms of what some of these main elements actually look like. But essentially what the flow looks like for this particular client is as follows. Now, disclaimer here, I custom make these for my clients. It might be different depending on the client I'm working with, right? Like it depends on your zone of genius. It depends on your coaching offer, like how much one-on-one attention they get. It depends on many different things in terms of how you want to set up your coaching. Like this is just for one particular client, so it might not be true for you, but there might be some elements here that you can include. So essentially this client is having the sales call on Zoom, then they become a client, he accepts the payment link through Stripe, and then he creates their coach account on CoachRx, which is the app I told you he was using. Now, something that's very important here, and this is where I think a lot of coaches leave money on the table. On this sales calls up here, he's not just asking the short-term goals that they want to achieve. He's also, or she, if I work with women too, but this client is a he is also asking around the long-term goals, like the 2 to 3 to 5 to 10-year goals that his ideal type of client would have. Why is he doing this? Sure, for this block, they're probably not going to get into that, but he wants to future pace some of these longer term goals as well that this particular client might have, and remind that client while they're working together, remind that client of those longer term goals and how what they're doing in the moment or in the month or in the quarter is going to help that client as a stepping stone to get to that longer term goal. That's number one. Number two is when the 6 months are up for this client, it's going to be rather easy, as long as they're an ideal type of client, as long as it was a good experience working together, it's going to be rather easy for my client to renew this person because he knows what the 2-year goal, 3-year goal, 5-year goal, 10-year goals are. So he could say, hey, by the way, Jim, or whatever his name is, I think it would be awesome to work together for another 6-month block or a year. Here's what it would look like to work together. Let's get this rolling. I know exactly what your goals are for the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Let's continue making progress and get you there, right? It's an easier conversation when you ask some of these deeper questions. So you want to make sure that you're doing that there. Then there's a welcome email, and I have a template for all this stuff, guys. There's a welcome email that he'll send, which is the client intake form link, the legal liability link, and then the onboarding module link that they can go through on their own time. This is something that takes time to build, okay? It's not an overnight process where you just have all of these amazing coaching modules that they can go through. It takes time to build. I'm going to show you the outline of what I've been building with this one particular client. For you, obviously, it's going to look different based off of your coaching expertise, past experiences, coaching belief systems. Like a lot of coaches that I work with have different belief systems as well when it comes to their coaching, when it comes to the application of what they do. But in terms of just the structure of onboarding, this can very much work for you as well. And then we've got what I call week 0, okay? So again, it depends in terms of how you guys want to coach. But what week 0 is you're not effectively starting week 1 yet. You first want to understand where your client is at in different areas in life, right? Not just health and fitness, but also in their recovery, in their stress levels, in their lifestyle, in what they're thinking about all day, what they're like, how much TV they're watching, are they getting up and moving throughout the day? What does their career look like? What does their relationship look like? Is their relationship stressful? Are they a parent? Like, you guys want to know these things, right? And I'm not saying you need to be a life coach or get into holistic coaching, although I do work with some holistic coaches too. You just want to understand the big picture, right? Because even if you're just doing programming, like that's all you're doing, some of these different elements in life, it does affect what you're doing at a programming standpoint, right? So asking some of these deeper questions and having an assessment week to get clarity on what an example week would look like for your client, going through a movement assessment, going through a recovery assessment, and a lifestyle assessment is key. And then you get into your actual day-to-day coaching and weekly coaching, which I just kind of took you through up here, right? So this is just a quick bird's eye view of what it could look like for you. Now, in terms of the actual client intake form, so I'm going to go through this with you guys as well. Like I said, especially in this intake form, a lot of coaches miss a huge opportunity for big retention here because they ask short-term questions instead of long-term questions. Now, usually there's a sweet spot between the two, right? Like you don't want to go all in on either. You want to ask a little bit of both to get, again, a good picture of what the big picture is here. So essentially what you want to do, and this is robust, don't get me wrong. You guys can tweak and adjust this based off of how you see best fit. But you want to ask some questions around different areas in life, right? Like for example, sorry guys, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Like for example, lifestyle. What does a typical day look like for your potential client when they wake up and when they go to bed, right? You want to get clarity on this stuff. How many hours do they spend sitting? What activities do they do for leisure? Like for example, for me, I'm working right now. It's, as you can see in my computer, it's 3:13 p.m. As soon as this clock hits 3:30, I'm going to pick up my daughter from daycare and we're going to the beach and we're going to hang out at the beach for like 3 hours. We're going to walk on the beach. We might go for a swim, and I'm going to live a very active life as soon as I'm done sitting at my desk here, right? So if I was a client, that's good for you to know, right? When it comes to programming, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to some of these other things. So just an example, but you want to ask questions around this. Sleep, you want to ask questions around sleep, hobby and interests. Obviously, medical history, health concerns, injuries, things like that, you want to get clarity around too. And then fitness level, you're obviously going to assess in the actual assessment, but you want to understand exercise history. Have they worked with a coach before? Have they tried different things before? Did it work for them? What are your short-term fitness goals? What are your long-term fitness goals? You want to ask things about this. And it's never, you guys probably realize this with clients, it's usually never, I want abs or I want bigger biceps. Like, it's usually never these superficial things, although they do come up for sure. It's more so what your ideal type of client is able to do, right? Like, I want to go surfing when I turn on my 50th birthday in Hawaii, right? Or I want to be able to climb Mount Whitney in California, which is what one of my clients wanted to do as she was getting older. Like, I want to be able to ski in Whistler, Canada on my 60th birthday with all my friends and be fit and healthy and vibrant when I get to the bottom of the hill and not out of breath, right? Like, these are some of the things maybe some of your clients might say, or they could be superficial too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody wants to take their shirt off at the beach and look good. But these things you want to know, because you can speak to them in week 5 during maybe a couple of dog days in the middle of your program, because you want to remind your clients of some of these things, right? Because it's very easy for them to forget. So you want to get clarity around what those things look like. Nutrition, you want to understand what their nutrition looks like. You're going to go through this in the assessment as well, but you can ask questions around it. Like, are there dietary restrictions? What are your nutrition goals? How do you like to eat? What does your daily rhythms look like in your day where you need calories the most when it comes to stress levels, when it comes to training, right? When it comes to exercise, or when it comes to when they're just at their desk and they're sedentary, right? Like, you can time their nutrition intake according to when their body needs it most, also based off their circadian rhythms and different things like that. By the way, I won't get into that too much. You guys are the genius when it comes to that stuff, not me, but I'm just giving you ideas of what this could look like based off of working with about 1,000 coaching clients now in the health and fitness industry. So that's nutrition, understanding what that looks like. You want to understand stress. Like, even if you guys don't coach on this stuff, you just want to know them at least, because it gives you a good understanding of where things are at for your client. So mental health, stress levels, scale of 1 to 10, coping mechanisms, like what do they do when they feel stressed? Like, you want to know these things, because this is where maybe they get into vaping, or they get into binge eating, right? Or some of these maybe destructive habits when the cue of a stressful event happens, which is life, happens all the time. You want to know these things, right? Because this plays into your coaching in terms of how we can better adapt to these situations. Career, you want to know what they do for their work, obviously, because, for example, I'm going to coach a middle-aged construction worker who is laying brick all day very differently than I'm going to coach someone who is a middle-aged accountant and they're sitting at their desk for 10 hours a day, right? Very different sedentary levels, very different activity levels. You guys want to know that stuff, right, when it comes to your coaching and your programming. Relationships, you don't have to go too deep into this, but do they have kids? Do they have a wife? Do they have a husband? What does that look like? Do they have community? This kind of plays into some mental health stuff too that you can get into. If someone isn't feeling good in their relationship, or they don't really have connection to community, they feel isolated, sometimes that can play into your health coaching, and you just want to ask questions around it. And then here we want to get more into, and you guys can pause this video, take some of these questions that you want. Here we want to get into deeper understanding of why is this important, right? Because again, these are some things that you can remind your clients of over the duration of your coaching program, and just make sure that you understand what the measuring stick is, right? Because if it is to spend more time with their kids and be able to play with them without getting out of breath and squat down without knee pain and some of these different things, you can measure that, right? Like, you can ask them questions around that in week 5, in week 10, in week 16, and see that those things are improving as well, right? I know this is kind of outside the realm of traditional coaching of strength improving and VO2 max improving and some of these different things, and that's important too, but I'm just talking, look at the big picture and be able to holistically connect these dots for your client, because that's what good coaching looks like. So yeah, that's just understanding what this looks like. What I would do is I usually use Typeform. Jotform is another good one, or Google Sheets is another good one. So you can kind of pick and choose some of these questions in the different areas and just make sure that you're asking questions around it, right? That's good for the intake form portion of your onboarding email. Secondly, the legal liability is also what you want to make sure that you guys are covering your ass for, especially when it comes to online coaching, because you just never know with the online world. All of my clients get this. This is a template for health coaching agreement that's made from one of the best online lawyers who helps coaches with this stuff. So this is a template that I give out to all my clients. Obviously, unfortunately, I can't give it to you guys who are just watching this free video because it's for my clients, but this is something that works well, and I have some different ones too when it comes to liability and legal. DocuSign is a good process to get that signed, and you just send that link in the onboarding email. Your client will sign it, and then you guys are good to go. You want to make sure that you have something like this and something that covers your ass in a multitude of different ways. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to speak on this, but that is a template that I give my clients. I mean, if you guys want to become a client, we could talk about that so you can get that template. So onboarding modules. So this is where they would get access to like a Teachable or a school or some sort of resource that is going to house your onboarding modules. What I mean by modules, what I mean by this is essentially just some different trainings that you guys can record based off of some of the most frequently questions that you guys get asked, especially in the first week, based off of actually educating your client what the onboarding looks like, what is your process, right? Educating them on your process, educating them on some different key terms and key fitness definitions, let's say, that they need to know, so that when they actually have a check-in with you or when they actually have a one-on-one coaching call with you, you guys can go deep rather quickly, because a lot of the surface level stuff and basic knowledge and education, they can know at scale, right? So this is what I'm talking about around creating systems around your coaching. This is a good cue for you guys to potentially know, because if you find yourself answering the same question over and over and over and over and over again, put that in a video and make them watch that on their own time, okay? You want to create systems around these things, so then when they do have one-on-one interactions with you, it's deep, right? It's personalized, it's transformational, and that's going to increase the retention over time, instead of saying, what's a caloric deficit? What do you mean by progressive overload? How do I insert my sets, and how do I track my weight going, like basic stuff. You should be able to outsource that in videos where it's one-to-many instead of one-to-one. The only time you should be doing one-to-one stuff is more deep, personal, transformational type conversations for your client. So this is just an example of what I've built with a prior client. You guys can pick and choose. You can pause this video and you can pick and choose some of this for yourself that you want to create in your own module library. Like I said, this might look overwhelming for you right now, and it should, because you should not expect to build this out tomorrow or build this out next week. This is a long-term process that will go on behind the scenes as you're coaching clients, as you're continually building your coaching program. This is not what I would expect you to have right out the bat, right? This takes months to build out in the background as you're keeping your business afloat, doing other things, coaching clients, getting clients, staying consistent on social media, right? This takes months to build out. So I just want to preface that as you guys are watching this video. So Module 1, we'd go over introduction. We'd understand the goals. We go through a goal setting workshop in module number 2, understanding core values as it pertains to health and fitness for your individual. This is something that's important. You got to understand, you guys already know this as coaches. I'm probably not telling you anything new, but the current state of your client's health is driven by the values that they have and how they think around certain aspects of health and fitness, right? So what you want to do here is you want to potentially challenge some of those. You maybe want to offer some new ones and have conversations around that, because that's kind of at the root foundational level of maybe how some problems might arise for your clients, right? So you want to speak to that. Go through the assessments, what the assessments look like, and then go through the fundamentals of what your coaching is, right? What is your protocol? How is it different? What are some of the essentials that you go through when it comes to your main pillars? Your main pillars can be your training protocol, how your programming works, your nutrition protocol, what your nutrition belief systems are, your lifestyle and recovery protocol, what that looks like. Maybe there's some mindset work that you do too. This makes up your process, and you want to speak to this inside of the modules. So like I said, some of this stuff might be out of your scope, and that's fine. You don't have to include it. For this particular client, we do, because his ideal type of client has very high stress career and high stress lifestyles. So we are including some modules for help around this. Career and lifestyle integration, again, this is something for this client, may not be relatable to you, or it might be. This is something that's important too. I speak a lot about this in my coaching, is you want to find easy wins for your clients where they're able to stack health benefits, right? And what I mean by that is, like, for example, instead of just going for a walk on the treadmill to get your 30 minutes of walking in a day, how can we stack the benefits of it? Can you do it outside to get more endorphins going in fresh air, right? That's another benefit. Can you do it with a friend to get that social benefit as well, right? Can you do it, if you're a guy, can you do it with your shirt off to also get some sun if it's a nice sunny day too, right? Like these are stacking benefits on one habit that compounds when it comes to health and fitness, right? Or if you're a businessman like I am, can I go for my walk and then do some voice notes for clients or for potential ideal types of clients while I'm on that walk, killing two birds with one stone, right? I've also got two little girls at home that I want to spend time with, so I want to be efficient with my time. So finding some of these easy wins for whoever your ideal type of client is, and then training them on that in your modules really helps. It really does help. So you want to train them also on what optimal tracking is, right? Like, this is important. This is something I think most coaches miss. Guys, there's so many different apps out there. Sometimes tech is all over the place, especially if you're using a nutrition tracking app and a programming track. Like, there's a lot there. You need to train your clients on how to use it. Even if you think they already know, I guarantee you there are elements of it that they don't. Create training modules around how to effectively use it, how to insert their sets, reps, rest intervals, RPEs, whatever it may be. Train them on that. Even if you think it's redundant, I guarantee you it's not. Create systems around it, send it to your clients. Long-term success and sustainability. Obviously, this is what health and fitness is. We want to help them understand, what this actually looks like as it pertains to the next few months, the next few years, and making this a habit inside of their life, right? So that's basically it when it comes to the modules. You guys can tweak and adjust this as you see best fit inside of your own life, but this is a skeleton of what I've built out with another client. So last thing here is the assessments for week 0. So again, it depends how you guys run your coaching, how you guys run what your programming is. Everyone I work with is a little bit different, but usually you want to have some sort of a fitness assessment just to understand how your client moves, right? Some of the key movements in your programming you want to just assess before you're adding load, right, and tension to some of these movements. So going through something similar to this might be something you want to do. Mobility assessments, and then you can program this all through whatever app you're using, TrueCoach, CoachRx, TrainerEyes, whatever it may be. And then you can get some of these videos, and then you can do your analysis to create their programming from there, right? I usually recommend, again, depends on the scope of your coaching, but I also usually recommend just tracking their nutrition for a week. Seeing how they're eating, seeing what times of day they're eating as it relates to their programming and their performance, their mental clarity, their career, when they need calories the most. It's just good for you to kind of get a big picture of what a sample week, or a sample just 3 days if you want, of eating looks like for them. And then also lifestyle assessment. So again, same thing, help them or help you understand what are your sleeping habits looking like, when are you working, when are you hanging out with family, what are you doing when you hang out with family, are you spending a lot of time on your screen, are you spending a lot of time on social media, understand some of these things, right? And just get some clarity so then you can program more effectively, because some of this stuff affects their energy levels affects their adherence and their performance in your programming, in your coaching, right? So it's just connecting some of these dots. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you. Like I said, 3:30 is when I have to go pick up my daughter, so I am right on track here. If you guys want templates for all this stuff, like I said, I have templates for all this that I give my clients and I build with my clients. If you want to know more information around the Lifestyle Wealth Mastermind, which is my coaching program where I have templates for all of this stuff, let me know. Just send me a DM on Instagram with the words Lifestyle Wealth. I can send you information around that, as well as information in what it would look like to work together and get some of these systems built inside your coaching program as well. So with that being said, guys, I hope you're having an awesome day, and we'll see you in the next one.